On October 1, 2024, Israel launched a ground offensive into southern Lebanon. The Israel Defense Forces, or IDF, are targeting Hezbollah, which is an Iranian-backed Shiite militant group. This operation follows a period of escalating tensions and cross-border attacks. Israel asserts that its military operation is limited in scope, claiming it is solely aimed at self-defense against Hezbollah. This action marks a significant escalation in the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. It is the most serious military confrontation between the two sides since the 2006 Lebanon War. The international community is watching the situation anxiously, with many countries concerned about the potential for wider conflict. The situation is complex and constantly evolving, and the coming days will be critical in determining the trajectory of the conflict. The international community must urge all sides to exercise restraint. The roots of the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah run deep. They are intertwined with the broader Israeli-Palestinian conflict and regional power dynamics. Hezbollah emerged in the 1980s during the Lebanese Civil War, initially focusing on resisting Israel's occupation of southern Lebanon. Over the years, Hezbollah has grown in strength and influence, amassing a vast arsenal of rockets and missiles. It has also become a significant political force in Lebanon. Israel views Hezbollah as its most immediate and potent threat. The two sides have fought several wars and numerous smaller engagements. The most significant conflict was the 2006 Lebanon War, which lasted for 34 days and caused widespread destruction and displacement. The international community has reacted with a mix of concern and condemnation to Israel's ground offensive. The United States has expressed support for Israel's right to defend itself, though it has stopped short of endorsing the ground incursion. Many other countries have been more critical of Israel's actions, calling for an immediate ceasefire. France, Russia, and China have all expressed deep concern about the escalation of violence and have called for restraint from all sides. The Arab League has also condemned Israel's offensive and has called for an emergency meeting to discuss the situation. The international community is urging all parties to engage in dialogue and diplomacy, as this is the only way to prevent further violence. Section 4. The humanitarian toll. The ground offensive in Lebanon is exacting a heavy toll on civilians. Thousands of people have been displaced from their homes. They are fleeing the fighting in southern Lebanon. Many are seeking refuge in UN shelters or with relatives in safer areas. The UN estimates that more than 100,000 people have been displaced by the fighting. The actual number may be much higher. The UN is struggling to provide aid to those in need. The fighting is making it difficult to reach those who need help. Hospitals and medical facilities are overwhelmed with casualties. There are shortages of essential medical supplies. The humanitarian situation is dire and is likely to deteriorate further if the fighting continues. Section 5. Calls for restraint and dialogue. Amid the escalating violence, numerous countries and international organizations are calling for restraint and a ceasefire. The United Nations Security Council has held multiple emergency meetings to address the crisis. The UN Secretary General has called for an immediate cessation of hostilities. He urged all parties to return to dialogue. The International Committee of the Red Cross has also issued an urgent call for a humanitarian ceasefire. This would allow for the delivery of aid to those in need. Regional actors, including Egypt and Jordan, have also stepped up their diplomatic efforts. They are trying to broker a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. These efforts have so far been unsuccessful. Time is of the essence to prevent further bloodshed and suffering. Section 6. The path forward, diplomacy, and de-escalation. The situation in Lebanon is at a critical juncture. The path forward requires a commitment to de-escalation, dialogue, and a political solution. Both Israel and Hezbollah must prioritize the lives of civilians. They must refrain from actions that exacerbate the humanitarian crisis. The international community has a crucial role to play. It must exert pressure on all sides to cease hostilities. The US in particular must use its influence to bring about a ceasefire. The focus must shift from military solutions to diplomacy. A lasting solution to the conflict requires addressing the underlying issues. These issues include Hezbollah's arsenal and Israel's occupation of Lebanese territory. The international community must support Lebanon's sovereignty, stability, and territorial integrity. Only through dialogue and diplomacy can there be a hope for lasting peace.